All right, guys. So, what's the best way to cook a steak?
Uh, all the way through.
Uh, how does
Well done with
Gordon
ketchup.
Ramsay tell you to make it? That's the correct way, right?
What does he say?
Uh, Mid rare is the only way.
Agree. But, like, do you have a preferred technique to get it to mid rare or no?
Uh, well, he's. I think it's just like the butter, which you have to baste it, and then you have your aromatics, and that's pretty much it. You can
It's in
don't
the
add
pan,
anything.
though.
Yeah, in the pan fried. Yeah, like
Okay.
a skillet.
I kind of like the Ruth's Chris way where you get your sear and you baste and you baste and then you pop it in the oven at super high temp for not very long, and it gets it nice and
See, I do the reverse sear, where you cook it at a really low temperature for a long time until it gets to the medium rare, and then you throw it in the pan for like a minute and get piping hot pan and sear it, and it's ready.
I thought you were a sous vide
Oh
guy.
yeah, sous vide to super low temperature in the either that or you can do it in the oven.
What are your aromatics?
Just like whatever herbs you have.
Herbs.
But I don't even typically use those. I just use salt, pepper, butter.
Interesting. So, what is your gut? What is your cut of steak that you usually cook or order?
I mean, my favorite is ribeye. Has clearly has the most flavor.
Caleb is an anti-textualist. Texturist.
I mean, I get the fact that filet has a nice texture, but it does not taste as good.
Oh,
I just don't like the fillet because it's so small.
Yeah, that too.
It's like
y'all
done.
never had Regus filet, then I take it. R.I.P. Regus.
All right, what's your go-to sides dishes for a steak?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I mean, for most of my life, I would have just gone baked potato, but I don't do that quite as much these days as I used to.
Twice baked potato is good if you have to have your starch, but some baked asparagus is quite good.
Asparagus is great.
Yeah,
Asparagus is the way to roll. Did we hit on temperature of steak?
mid rare.
Medium rare.
Mid rare?
Yeah.
Lincoln, what do you think?
Sometimes the fattier steaks like the ribeye can use a little bit more than mid rare, but I still shoot for mid rare.
Steak is nice.
Yeah, there's a couple. The few times I'm not a real big steak person when I go out to eat. Like I always try to like order stuff differently, but the few times I have ate at steakhouses up here, I've really enjoyed like the sweet baby carrots as a side dish.
It's fantastic when you get it with some teriyaki chicken. I've never had it with a steak.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever had it with steak, but that
Yeah,
sounds.
it's like super sweet. It's almost kind of like the brown sugar on carrots or something. It might not be brown sugar, but it kind of has that taste. Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of to the point now where I don't like ordering steaks at fancy places because they're too expensive and I can make them just about as good at home.
Yeah, that's one of my friends used to say is like he never orders anything that he thinks he can cook good at his house. So it's like he always orders things he knows he can't cook.
Yeah, just like way too complicated. Is what
Yeah.
I'd
What
try
a
to.
humble brag. What a humble brag by your friend. Good God.
Shout out Nick Pemberton. Uh,
Oh, hey, Nick.
Well, you wouldn't go to a restaurant and order a hot pocket. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. No.
I kind of agreed with because like I mean I don't cook at all. Like I'm probably the worst cooker my age of anybody, but I can cook a decent steak because it's so easy.
And you've more or less just follow the Gordon Ramsay how-to basically every time, right?
Yeah, I mean, you watch like a 30-second TikTok and you just repeat it.
Something funny, Caleb?
I just think I didn't know there were recipes on TikTok.
Oh my God, food TikTok's huge.
Is it? We are 35. What is TikTok?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's amazing. It's a very good tool. But you know,
Is it going to spy on me?
sure, why not?
Oh, it seems my internet connection has befuddled me again.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was actually your background.
It is. I'm lost in the dark, dense woods. I can't imagine why.
Hmm.
All right. Well, this podcast is going off great.
Yeah, are we recording?
Yeah.
Think so.
Good thing we had a bye week this week.
Yeah, no, I don't remember a thing. Didn't have a manic episode after it at all.
Yeah.
So what do we think about UTSA?
Okay. We got to talk about Florida.
Ah.
We have to talk about Florida, right?
We don't. I don't see any guns to anyone's head.
We have to. We have to.
All right,
Because
Kyle.
we all left last episode saying we would. Every single one of us said we'd win.
Yeah, but that was for comedic effect.
I don't think
We
so.
understand our audience.
No.
All right, Kyle. Talk about Florida.
Yeah.
All right. I think that it was very bad. Obviously, my concerns concerning what we talked about last episode. My concerns now are legit on like, I think I was a 4 concern last week. Now I'm probably like at a 7 or 8 with the way we're heading, especially for this season. I think long term with the Hypel program, I think we're okay and I'm still excited. But this season, bro, it will be an amazing coaching job for like 9-3. But I'm looking at 8-4, 7-5.
I'm looking forward to heading back to Jacksonville, see some people at the end of the year. Gator Bowls treated us nice. Something like that. But I feel vindicated in my creeping dread even after the first game. There's
Congratulations.
just something. Yeah, no, thanks. Don't feel good altogether, though. Obviously, there's something fundamentally wrong.
Okay. I agree with Kyle mostly here. I'm concerned. I don't know if our problems are like so bad that we're doomed to 7-5 or not. Maybe we are, but like.
So you're concerned that you may need to get stitches, but not concerned that we may lose the leg.
We might lose the leg. I'm just saying. I don't. Like, this is gonna sound like the most sheepiest thing in the world, but like we played pretty good in the second half. Like,
Yeah, and let's decide to run the ball every play. We sure keyed in on that, all right.
well, that's true. I mean, our offense obviously we didn't score, but we moved the ball to like the red zone pretty good in the second half.
Yeah, it was a lot like the Auburn game in 2014 where we operated between the 40s.
I think for me, the concerning thing was like, obviously coming out of this, most of the heat was on Joe Milton and maybe the offensive line. But I was really just shocked about how our elite defense just did not show up. And just like it really didn't, even when they were clearly pointing it out on the broadcast, where when they had a wide receiver go in motion, like our linebackers just did not follow them, and we just were not passing people off on motion at all. And
Yep.
they were just having like 8 to 12-yard catches, super easy, And I just was like, what the crap's going on there? So yeah, I think Milton was an issue. The O-line was an issue, obviously, but the defense was horrible. and like the Haddon bumper car tackle where he kind of like went and kind of the guy trampolined off of him for a long run. I think that was almost the play of the game because we had the momentum, and then it was like we were shell shocked from there.
I've never seen a tackle attempt like that before.
Yeah,
I didn't. It,
trampolined off of him.
well, yeah, like it didn't register in real time. It was only after that I went back and looked. That yeah, it was boop, like zero effort. Not to mention the fact that he somersaulted trying to reach for his ankles on the rundown. Like it was pitiful.
Yeah.
Everything. It was pitiful. I mean, I think there was some talk today that they don't tackle a whole lot in practice.
I would say most teams don't.
Yeah.
Most teams. I mean, I don't pretend to know much about football, but how do you tackle in games if you don't tackle in practice? How do you teach that fundamental?
I do think that just thinking about, and I've heard that a little bit where on another show they were talking about how like a lot of teams are really, really looking rough because there's a new way of doing practice. And this might be the new college football where every team is really rusty for the first month, and we really don't see how good or bad a team is until the second month.
Rusty.
Well, like when it comes to like tackles, because they're just non-contact in like spring ball and fall camp.
It's week 3. I didn't see.
It's like, but it's not. I don't think that's a Tennessee exclusive issue though. I think that might be a college football issue.
Oh no, I didn't see. Well, trying to think about Georgia, trying to think about what I saw of Alabama, what I saw of LSU didn't seem to have trouble tackling.
I mean, all right, well, I mean, yes, it was bad. I'm sure plenty of other teams are also terrible too, because you don't internalize when bad things happen to other teams quite like you do when it happens to us.
Well, that's for sure.
So I just want to mention we did have one highlight in the game, and that was the Tennessee fan who stormed the field.
Yeah.
Props to that guy.
I heard that his actual punishment was he's not allowed to go back to the swamp for 3 years.
Yeah.
I heard someone said, well, Tennessee's been going on that field for 11 years and they keep getting invited back.
Well, if spending a night in the Alachua County Jail gets you some reputational cred, I think that guy came out all right. I know for a fact that we contemplated going down there, and this exact scenario popped into my mind, and I am so glad. Oh my God. I don't know that I'll ever go. I don't know. I think we'd have to win 5 in a row or something like that. I will never go down there.
All right, let me play a little Posivol here. I'm not saying we would have won, but I think imagine the referee doesn't kick the ball on the 4th down spot, and we get that 4th down score, and then imagine our tight end McCastles doesn't get the blindside block that ruins that drive.
You mean imagine that the things that typically go wrong in Gainesville don't go wrong?
Just saying.
The weird
that by the way, I'm not blaming the refs at all. I think we lost that game on ourselves at all. But does that change things if we get that 4th down and if that blindside block doesn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, of course it does a little. I don't know, maybe we don't win, but
I think in that scenario they don't go to max clock drain offense. in that scenario, do we not fall for the dumbest thing in the world? The count on 4th and 1.
Yeah, that offsides, bro. God.
Oh, dear God. That was the only time in the game that I physically curled into a ball. Like it was painful.
And what's his name? Herb Street's partner. Who's the announcer, broadcaster?
That would be Chris Fowler.
Yeah, he was like so excited that we jumped off sides. Like, he just could not believe it.
Well, it's a program-defining win. It's a proof of concept win for the Florida Gators, a program that is here, and we're.
Well, I mean, it's just. I mean, as soon as we jumped off sides, he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he fell for it. The oldest trick in the book. No one ever does that, but they obviously just did. Oh my God, that was. Can you believe that, Herbie?"
I can't. Everybody loves a gag, an obvious gag, and when it actually happens, I can't blame him.
I can't either. It's the same thing as us laughing at kickers screwing up. So.
Yes, it is the best thing about college football.
Yeah, that's true.
And the narrative on us is we are not very good and we're kind of stupid.
All right, here's a topic that kind of on that I've heard in our Vol fandom space is, are you on the side of not waving the white flag and saying, I want to keep the Florida series so we can overcome this? Or you wave the white flag and say, just get the series over with. We'll see you once every 4 years.
No, the wins over Alabama. My white flag. I used to be a white flagger. No, I want Alabama and Florida on my schedule every single year.
I want Alabama. I do not care about Florida.
What?
So you're okay for the series to end?
What?
What? It means nothing anymore. It doesn't. Now that we're not at the top of the East year in, year out, it doesn't. What does it even matter?
What? Are you shitting me?
Producer, bleep that out, please.
No. No. You're saying that the Florida game means nothing?
Oh, okay, it's a little bit of hyperbole, but
the only one that
I'm willing to give it up.
Okay, I don't take your word.
So okay, I was actually shocked, Chris, that you're on this side. I was expecting you to be a white flagger.
No, well, no. I mean, in the past, when I had more or less come to the view that we were kind of like Nebraska, that there was always the potential that something great could happen, that the kitchen was set with the finest dinnerware, the room is very nice, we have lovely plates and dishes, we have a great kitchen. We just had no chef. And I was waiting for a chef to come in and turn us into something that we ultimately truly had the potential to be. And I thought that we had that with Josh Heupel. I'm not convinced that we don't. But yeah, in the past, I had more or less resigned myself to a lifetime of rooting for something that isn't anything. It's just special to us. Now I realize that we have our proof of concept. We can go and be a contender. We just not with this team, not with this group.
Okay, Caleb, why are you a white flagger?
I mean, I guess I don't feel that strongly that yes, we need to give it up. I'm just saying if it ultimately comes to pass that we don't play Florida every year, I don't really care that much.
No, I think it means it has been built into a thing that animates us more than the others.
Because we lose every time in heartbreaking fashion. Yes, I agree.
But
I would love to keep the series. I would love to move the series somewhere on the schedule.
Well, we catch Florida at the end of.
Maybe make it mid-October to mid-November. I don't know. Just I don't like it being the first game.
Well, yeah, that every single year it's the one where we either learn, okay, we can actually do something, or it's the worst of all things.
Because, I mean, here's the thing. Like, you look at our schedule. Now, I don't know what type of team we are, honestly, but you can flip a coin and we'll be 5-1, or you can flip a coin and we'll be, have 3 or 4 losses. But there's a good possibility we could end up being 5-1 here in a little bit. I'm just saying, but it's the Florida
Good possibility.
It's just the Florida loss takes your wins out of yourself so much.
Well, yes. I suppose any loss, I mean, we would have lost to a lot of teams on Saturday. A lot of teams. Florida isn't great, but yeah, we would have lost to probably 12 SEC, 10 SEC teams.
Well, that brings me to kind of in the same vein and topic is like, do you think our performance Saturday at the Swamp was due to our team being good, bad, ugly, or whatever, or was our performance strictly because it was at the Swamp?
No, I think that the deficiencies have been there and they were just magnified.
So you think we would have had that performance at another SEC location?
We had that performance literally a week ago with Austin Peay.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some people say like alarming, but it's not that big of an alarm because it was just Tennessee at Florida, and that's what happens when Tennessee goes to Florida.
It's the ultimate cope. I understand. I understand people want to throw on the cope blanket. It is cope. We are bad right now. Actually bad.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
are dysfunctional. Do what?
I think Caleb was about to say something, I thought.
Sorry.
I mean, we're not, Chris. You're being a little harsh, but
Hyperbolic, you might say.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we probably would have lost to most teams, but again, this is fixed like a couple things, and we're like, okay, we're not going to beat Bama and Georgia, but
Have you ever seen a team really get better on the offensive line as the season goes along?
well, if we get our best lineman back, that might help.
I mean, no doubt. But to what extent? I don't know. They were horrendous.
Yeah, I don't know what my heart wants to side with Caleb on this. My head is like siding with Chris on this, where it's like I want us to clean up our offensive issues. It's like, and I think it could happen, but do I think it's going to happen? I think it's more of a we're going to have those issues until we get new players in there. But hopefully that's not true.
I'm worried it's a cultural problem.
Oh my gosh.
There's something deeper. This was the most old school collapse in the Swamp. This was 90s, vintage 90s Tennessee collapse.
Did we have cultural problems every year in the 90s?
No, but I don't know why I said that. I said that just to say that. I'm venting. I'm furious. But it reminded me a lot of the South Carolina game last year, which I have no memory of.
Did we have cultural problems all last year?
In the South Carolina game we did.
We have cultural problems in individual games.
We have cultural problems that manifest themselves more so than in other games, yes.
I am a little concerned that was the performance we had directly following a players-only called meeting.
Yeah. You don't call a players meeting to say, hey guys, just to remind you, let's play hard this week. Let's get on the same page.
In week 2.
That.
I think no, you guys are being ridiculous. I think people are calling it a players-only meeting when it was probably just like a meeting that was like, all right, guys.
What do you want?
Exactly what you said, which is what you would want them to do, exactly what you would want them to do.
Why does it need to be said?
Okay, but you would rather it be said than not said if we have problems.
I think maybe that there was a communication issue this week because they were.
I would say that I was very highly encouraged, whether it be false hope or not. But that first drive where we were operating off our scripted plays was almost perfect. But it's like when we got out of our scripted play and got into the flow of the actual game calling and the play calling of that game. Ugh.
So we can't make adjustments.
Well, I mean, it like the style of our offense, and you have Joe Milton, like, what was it, 3 or 4 times where we had the play clock almost run down on us, and like Josh Heupel had to call a timeout. It's like the whole point of our offense is like to go super, super fast, and we're sitting there with the play call or with the play clock just going down.
Yes, because he's looking over to the line and the coaches are doing their.
Alvin and Chipmunks.
Yes. And for some reason, it takes way longer this year to get that rearranged than it did last year.
Cooper Mays.
Is that entirely Cooper Mays? What does a center do?
Snaps the ball.
He centers us. He's our core.
He's our center.
Okay, I will say a caveat. I will be interested to see what it looks like when Cooper gets there, but there's something red in me that just he went through practice all week, went through the warm-ups, went through the whole rigmarole of getting his picture taken on Twitter, and he's doing the resistance bands, and he's out there in gear, and then he's like, nah, coach.
No, he was never going to play. That was all just, I don't know why they did that. That's stupid in my opinion, but
yeah, it's
there's
real.
no way there's no way he was ever going to play. I don't think he showed up and was like, nah, I'm not going to play.
Yeah. I mean, even like the other show that we listened to, and the two guys on there are saying, hey, from what we're hearing from our sources, there's no way he's coming back before October.
Yeah, and if you'll remember last week on this pod, I said there's something fishy about the way Josh Heupel is talking about this, and I don't think he's going to play. He never said he is practicing. He said things like he looks good at practice.
Yeah. And like, I feel like it's Heupel's version of like Bill Belichick, where Bill Belichick has everybody on the injured reserve, or like everybody's listed as questionable. Like the entire starters are always questionable. You know, it's just some weird form of gamesmanship.
Well, it's a good way to get your fans hard red-assed when things go south.
That's why I do agree with that, where it's like, I understand Josh Heupel's playing gamesmanship on having Florida prepare for him or not prepare for him, but the pros and cons weighed against that versus pissing off an entire fan base on, yeah.
This is not a fan base to piss off.
I mean, you freaking got Tony Basilio talking yesterday about like Josh Heupel could be getting fired in 2025 if he doesn't fix the offensive line issues.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I know, but I mean, we lose one game and we see the offensive line performance like that once, and we're already saying he's got to get this fixed or he's gone in 2 years.
I don't think it's just that. We're getting data and we're starting to see trends, and we are going under Heupel to lose a game that we are projected to win probably every year.
Yes, as do like 90% of teams. Let's not forget that. Pretty much everybody loses as a favorite.
Yeah. Listening to something before we popped on here, and they said like when Gus Malzahn went to UCF, he was like, wow, like Josh Heupel left an SEC caliber offensive line here at UCF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have too much doubt that recruiting will fix it over time, and certainly with the portal being what it is, I'm fairly sure these holes can be plugged, but this year is going to be just more or less just data gathering.
I would say one thing that I'm data gathering here and saying I think last year was more about how amazing we're learning how amazing Hendon Hooker was
Yeah.
versus like how amazing this offense. I'm not saying the offensive system isn't great. I'm just saying I think we gave it more credit than we should have. We should have shifted more credit just to Hendon Hooker being great.
But he was an okay quarterback at Virginia Tech at best.
Yeah.
And even in his first year here, he was pretty good, but he wasn't what he was last year. And we, I think, rightly attributed that to coaching and development.
Yeah.
I don't know how much different Joe is. I mean, I really don't. For some reason, I don't really feel like hating on Joe as much. Like he obviously that one interception was just, but otherwise, yeah, there was drops, there were timing was off on some throws, whatever. He is kind of what he is at this point, but I don't hate him. I still think he's the best option that we've got. And when he does things like he did on the first drive, then we can win a lot of games.
Yeah, I don't think Joe's he's not Hendon Hooker and he's not amazing, but we can win a lot of games.
Yeah.
With Joe, I think. He's like honestly probably middle of the pack SEC quarterback.
In a year where they're not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just saying he's still better than like half the quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, you get on it, and this is one thing that's kind of scaring me right now, is like from everything we've kind of saw, it's like Spencer Rattler is probably the best quarterback in the SEC.
Yeah.
And then like the dude from LSU, and then it's like everybody else, and everybody else is kind of in that same tier.
Yeah,
and maybe Alabama's below that tier.
Yeah. How you doing, Ty?
Oh man.
Oh. Yeah.
This is just looking forward in the season now. Like, do we really want to talk about San Antonio this week? I mean, it is what it is. This is just curious. Going forward, would you take like a 7-5, 8-4 finish with Milton playing the whole season, or an 8-4 to 9-3 with Milton playing the whole season, or would you like to see Nico start playing right now, but we wouldn't get to 9-3?
I'll take the better record.
Yeah.
Nico's going to be there for next year regardless, so I'll take the better record.
I would rather maximize Nico years as much as we can, even though best case scenario, or saying that if he maximizes his potential, he's a 3 and done kind of guy at best. So I would like to get as many years under the belt with him as possible, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this whole roster is just seniors.
Yeah.
Next year is not going to be, I don't imagine, better than this one.
I kind of think it will be.
Okay, let's say you really hit the portal well and fix the line issues, and you learn to tackle, then maybe. But no, I would rather have if it means a better record. I appreciate that Joe has stuck around, for better or worse. That's uncommon, and I would like to see that rewarded.
Yeah, what you mentioned. That brings up a question I kind of was thinking about too. Is like, I keep on hearing that we really do have some studs that are like sitting on the bench, even on the defensive side. But for whatever reason, our defensive coordinator just does not like playing freshmen and sophomores, and he just, no matter what, he's going to play the upperclassmen. And we actually have like upperclassmen on the field with people that are better than them sitting on the bench, but they're just not going to get playing time until they graduate or get out there.
Well, I would say if there's a cultural issue, or there's chemistry issues. I would imagine that that's part of it, if that's true. If you're going out there and you're clearly better than the other guy who just happens to be a senior, then yeah, I imagine that causes some.
Yeah.
There's your point. We're going to be better next year because we have better players.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking is like maybe like our secondary slaw just graduates.
Yeah. I mean, I assume that probably what they're thinking is our secondary is terrible. They really very rarely give up a over the top long pass play. Now they can't tackle, but they don't usually blow a coverage. That's probably why they play. I suspect our freshmen are likely to make more plays, but also more busts. So I don't know.
I would be fine with that assessment. That sounds right.
And I don't know what I would do. Obviously, I'm not a coach making millions of dollars, but if I was in that position, I kind of would know, hey, it ain't happening for us this year, but it could happen for us in the next year or two. So maybe kind of like making decisions this year based on just developing the kids behind the scenes and getting them ready for next year.
That's risky.
I know.
Very, very risky.
I would like to see it in the secondary.
I don't know a coach who would not put their best foot forward to win every Saturday. I don't know if they're capable of that kind of tactical thing. I think you're really overvaluing coaches.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to put myself in the thing where I just feel like I would be there and be like, okay, we're not winning the national championship this year, but we might have a chance to do it in the next 2 or 3 years. So let's operate this year as in preparation for the next couple of years.
Coach Kyle, that's a good way to get yourself into a situation where you're getting a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
There wasn't but I did hear there was some team in Texas who did that last year. They like redshirted all of their like good players.
Yeah, the Dillon Panthers.
And now this year it was like Texas State or somebody, I don't know. And now this year they're actually pretty good.
They're the ones that beat Baylor?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I think they had a Colorado style turnover of the roster.
Good morning, Matt.
Good
Hello.
evening, Matt.
It's been
Great.
hard times, baby.
All is well.
Yes, finally.
Let's see that face.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Hard times,
Oh,
baby.
you got
Daddy.
perfectly lining up with the hair.
This is great for our podcast listeners.
Yes. Highly
You
encourage you
think
to
for the game.
What did I think?
Yes.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Chris, you said it earlier. You nailed it. This team has a cultural problem.
Oh my gosh.
It does. Your quarterback's out there in pregame warm-ups doing photo shoots.
Here we
And I don't even know what half your secondary's doing. I mean, just undisciplined all over the field. But, oh, my gosh.
should Haddon play a snap again?
What?
Should Kamal Haddon play a snap again?
I mean, he had an interception, didn't he? So if he can do that every time. Well, he had a
All right.
second game, I think he did.
Spin zone. I haven't heard anybody make this take. Kamal Haddon was just sticking up for his guys at the end of the game, and nobody else would do it.
Agreed. No problem.
Who hadn't?
Yeah.
Did he take a swing?
He had his.
Did he get closer than some of his
It's
tackles?
weird.
Balled up.
Oh wow!
I honestly I don't have a problem with what he did at the very end of the game. It's just the in between the plays stuff that I hate.
Yeah, the first snap to the last snap.
Yeah.
Although I recall him having like one play, I don't remember what, that I went, okay, you to do it again.
He made it. He made like an amazing open field tackle that was pretty big at that time of the game. Like,
Yep.
I think he's actually, his skill set is okay if he can just not talk and not be animated at all.
Tackle every time.
with the body.
Yeah.
Like he means it.
Yeah, the 76-yard run that he trampolined the dude into, I kind of hated him at that point.
He's a world touch football champion, you know.
I mean, he literally just like shoulder bumped the dude.
No, he tagged him. He was down. It's true. I don't. I mean, I feel dumb for coming on here last week and saying what we'd win. I'm embarrassed.
Don't be, Matt. We did it for the gag.
Yeah.
We
Something
knew
like
what was
that.
going to happen. We knew what would happen.
What was Graham Mertz's stat line like before halftime? He was like, what, 13 of 15 for all these like. Oh, we're back in business of making slaw quarterbacks look like all Americans.
Just like old times, Matt.
It is kind of crazy when you think about like how many times Florida has won this game versus us when we're obviously
No.
the better team.
But I would not say that we were the better team. We were higher ranked.
I don't agree with the criticisms that our defense played terrible, though. I mean, yeah, they gave up some big plays, but
They played terrible in the second quarter.
okay, yes, but they gave up what, 3 points in the second half? Like,
They were running.
Florida didn't even run an offense in the second half.
His
I don't
finger
know.
was hurt.
I just think our offense is so inept. It's terrible.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's all Milton. I think it's a combination of it all. Because
Yeah.
again,
He didn't even try to run the ball until we were down 3 scores.
I mean, he hit another long ball he dropped it on a bucket to, was it Thornton?
Yeah, it was that
oh, yeah.
one late in the game? Or
Yeah.
in the second half?
Like
yeah,
he
that was a beautiful
hit
throw.
like a play or two later, but that long bomb was on a dime, and it just, and Herb Street was like, "Hey, bro, you got to like jump up and try to catch that."
Yeah.
Well, there was one that he completed that was just an incredible throw. Like,
That was in the first drive, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was later in the game. It might have
Well,
been
the
that
second
first
half to
one.
Thornton, where the ball never got 12 feet off the ground.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
Just a missile.
It like went right past the cornerback's head into.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen a parabola like that. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
The guy can make those throws. I just
He
don't
makes
know.
3 of those throws a game,
Yeah.
and then he doesn't. His other 18 throws are really bad.
I just don't know if the combination that we have on the field right now can manage the flow of the offense in the way that it's supposed to be technically done. I haven't seen a whole lot of evidence of that to doing it consistently.
Yeah, we've thrown more bubble screens and little wide receiver screens the last 2 weeks than we have in all of Heupel's 3 years.
Okay, that might be a great topic to end the podcast on. Is our play calling the way it is because we don't trust our quarterback or we don't trust our offensive line to protect the quarterback? Are
Yes,
we giving
that's
a very, 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 very watered down version of the playbook because we don't trust our offense?
Secret UTSA playbook. I think it's because they don't trust the offensive line, personally. Like, honestly, obviously the interception was awful, but other than that, I didn't think Milton had, I don't recall, like, any bad throws, really, in the Florida game. But like you said, we're just calling this very vanilla
I mean,
offense.
we're running wide receiver screens where there are 3 defenders and 2 wide receivers, like pre-snap. And we're just, let's throw it out there. Let's see if Brew McCoy can take out 2 people at once.
Well, he typically can, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great, but I mean, come on, what are we doing?
Well, our offensive line can't block for 3 seconds to let us run like
No, our
actual.
quarterback can't make a decision in less than 3 seconds and get rid of the ball.
I really don't think that's true.
Were you even mad watching this game? Did you get mad?
Yes, I
You
was
were like,
very mad.
oh, it's okay, guys. It's
All right.
okay.
58-22. Flip it.
I don't know. I'm just.
Matt,
I
do
don't
you
have any
know how to
faith.
snap and clear?
No.
Amen.
I mean, this loss felt like the old days of losing to Florida. Season's over. Nothing matters. Whatever. I mean, I honestly like. Who are we going to beat in the SEC? Kentucky, Vanderbilt.
South Carolina, Texas A&M, Alabama.
Stop. Georgia.
Caleb is pro Joe. There's no question about
I'm
that.
pro Vols, okay? That's all I am is pro Vols, and y'all need to be too.
That Alabama Tennessee game is going to be like 9-6.
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Man, that thought. Hadn't even.
Are we
So-
going? Are we going to Alabama? Are we going to do a live podcast from Tuscaloosa?
No.
No.
Not, buddy. We're not. Maybe if you decide to fly down, if
No.
you say, I'm coming down.
I was thinking about South Carolina or Georgia, but if we had won
Not
Saturday,
anymore.
I would have been to South Carolina maybe.
Texas A&M, maybe get a little further down the line to see if it's closer to your birthday when you normally come.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe hopefully we'll have a better idea of what we are. Thing is, looking at our schedule, I don't know that we really know we're going to get a really good sense of what we are for a while.
Yeah, next year we will.
See, this is the thing is like, we might be up and down every, like, I don't even know if we'll get like this version of Tennessee this week and another version of Tennessee the next week. But I think every other team in the SEC is like that too. Like when we go into the South Carolina game, what version of Tennessee you're going to get is also going to be determined on what version of South Carolina you're going to get.
Let's get second half Georgia, South Carolina. Would be my vote.
I just don't know.
I don't know.
Like I could see us going 6-6 now, but I could still see us going like 9-3.
Who do we lose to there? Georgia, Alabama? Because I got news for you. We ain't beating Missouri.
Now, I think I could see us now lose. I think we're going to lose to Georgia. Obviously, I think we're probably going to end up losing to Alabama, but I think that Texas A&M, South Carolina, freaking Kentucky is like iffy for me now. Depends on which version of Tennessee we get.
I would say so.
Yeah, that Kentucky game, that'll be a great game, though.
God.
Two evenly matched teams.
That will be some Pruitt, Butch era Tennessee, Kentucky.
I want to be like I'm fine with us being 6-6 as long as we beat South Carolina, Kentucky.
The entire season,
Yeah.
to me, comes down to South Carolina.
I mean, that's really all we have left now is just that revenge.
That's it. That is the beat of my heart. It is the thing that is driving my blood football-wise.
Until
It
we
is.
win out and then lose to Vanderbilt and Georgia wins the SEC East.
What? It would be hilarious though if we just ended up still being like 11-1 and 10-2, just after the week. Not
I
saying
would not be laughing. I would be crying tears of joy.
Yeah, I would enjoy that.
Man,
what happens when like Cooper Mays does come back and we end up being like just a juggernaut of a team again.
Everything is different. I would giggle quite a lot, and mea culpa on here.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
All right.
All right.
Y'all
Any
next
final
week.
thoughts?
Glad you were able to pop back in, Matt.
Yeah. Hopefully the people got a better experience without me.
Oh no, never.
All right. Well, we ain't rich, but Lord, we're free, and we'll see you next week.